Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Chart Request Live. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday on Stock Market TV at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm joined, as always, by my esteemed friend and co-host, Patrick Dunawilla of the Chart Report. How's it going, Pat?
How you doing today, Steve? Busy day, busy day.
I was away from the desk for most of the market hours yesterday, so I'm like big catch up. I'm on my second pot of coffee. Things are moving. How about tech
Oh
yesterday?
yeah.
Oh,
How
shit.
about what did you say? How about tech?
Yeah, how about tech yesterday?
Yeah. What a way to start the week.
A little semiconductor surge there.
I think you pointed that out earlier, the
3.5%.
semis. That's that's the group you want to see lead, and they've picked up a little bit, so can't hate it.
Yeah, so on Twitter Spaces, Patrick and I were just having the conversation. If I could pick one group that from a risk appetite perspective, I really want to see lead, it's semiconductors. So flipping over here now to the NASDAQ, plenty of semiconductor exposure there. We got Nvidia making new highs today. The leaders keep leading. Does the NASDAQ take another shot at this, big overhead supply zone here? Does it finally get through? Was this enough digestion? Like, have we absorbed enough of that supply? What do you think?
I mean, I think it makes sense that we got rejected there, right? It would have almost been too easy to just we get all-time highs and then we just trend higher from there. So it kind of makes sense to kind of have this little stumble here. And yeah, here I think we have a better shot now than we did in the initial test. How's that?
With every new test, that's true, right?
Yeah, kind of we soaked up some of the overhead supply that might have been there.
And
So here
and
we are.
and another telling thing, right, is if you zoom in here, what, a 3-day dip and right back at it, just
Yeah,
like a little pull and then right back at it. Not something like some of these indexes back in. Let's just do it. SMH. Let's go right back to it. Some of these indexes back in the summer ran into it, right? So this is the same. Let's do the same exact thing here with the strongest or one of the strongest subgroups in tech. Here's semis. They ran into it, kind of flattened off, gave a weak try, and then just fell into this like deeper corrective period, right? From the
Mhm.
summer into those October lows. With this one here in the NASDAQ, it's like, okay, we're giving it a shot and right back at it, right? So that's
Yeah.
just the aggressiveness of buyers. So I like it.
I kind of hate that term, but it was a very orderly correction, what you saw over the summer, kind of just like a three-wave thing. So everything looks bullish, looks like a bull market, smells like a bull market. But let's get to some of the tickers because we have a lot to cover today. As always, we're going to start with some of the ones in the mailbag. So we're going to start off with MFC. This one's from Jeff.
Canada, eh?
Hey,
This is
what do
a
you
big
think?
life insurance company. I think they also do like employee plans. I think I had one
Oh
with
yeah.
Manulife a long time ago. Yeah, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It is definitely insurance. Let's see.
Man, it's like the more you zoom
Family
out,
home
the more
insurance.
bases that are there.
Oh man, it's so big. Ready? Let's go further. And this is
Yeah,
one of these bases we've been stalking for as long as I've been a technician. So I know this one well. We've written about it in special Canadian equity reports over the years. Still really never got this monster structural reversal, though. Looks a lot like something like Citigroup or a lot of these big cap financials where they just
yeah.
got blasted so hard during the financial crisis.
I was just
And
thinking the same thing.
they've been base building ever since. And you could look at these structures in one of two ways. You could say, oh, the what is it? The oh God, the something something, the harder they fall. This was an ugly bear market during the financial crisis. And you could say, okay, these are laggards now. Why would we want them? Or you could say, look at the base building here, 15 years. When this thing finally goes, there's not too much price memory due to the way that we collapsed in the financial crisis, right?
Yeah,
This
nice
is
pocket there.
Yeah, we call this like this is a volume pocket.
It's almost like the volume pocket that's in KRE right now, that the regional banks are trying to fill right now. But
But 10
obviously, this is
times
a
bigger.
much bigger, yeah, yeah, much bigger, right?
15 times bigger.
But
It's
these things
15
are
years.
fractal, and that's this chart is a great example of that because you're talking about this big base here, but if you zoom in, on the last 3 years, there's another really nice base here. So you kind of have, it could work for multiple time frames here, right?
Bottom line, if we're above 22, long all day to 33. That's it, right? And that just fills this gap here. This is 22, this shelf of old highs. 33 gets you up here to where this top formed, right?
Yeah, I like
And
this one.
real quick, because you're right, KRE, fractals,
Yeah,
zoom way in. I'm going to flip it to a daily. And this is exactly what Patrick's talking about. Just the the swiftness, right, or velocity of this sell-off is lending itself to now a swift gap fill.
yep,
And this right here is part of the reason why we like banks so much right now, heading into bank earnings Friday.
yeah, yeah. Looks like a textbook bull flag to me. It's holding that trend line. I know you're not the biggest fan of diagonal trend
That's fine.
lines, but it's further information, further confirmation, whatever you want to call it. But let's move on to rig.
I mean, I was just going to say full disclosure, I'm very long regional banks. I'm also long this one.
Oh, nice.
Um, Regional banks, I'm just using Key Corp as a vehicle. I think I have some Truist also, Old Sun Life. I'm also in Wells Fargo as well, holding it into earnings. I bought I bought this in rig. That's why I have the chart marked up, right? Because one strategy has been, and I wish I just sold puts at this point. The strategy has been to buy support in energy. All right, so I saw rig. This one's a flyer. It's one of my favorite vehicles just due to the liquidity, low price, which I love when I'm trading calls or for a binary option strategy. It makes things a lot easier when the price is smaller. It's very liquid options market in this one. Um, and it's a mover. This is a beta name, right? And I'm someone who really needs the juice. And this one gives you that. So look, you zoom out here, you got this shelf here, just about coinciding with now this shelf of lows here, right? So anywhere called 5 and change to 550 and change here. That's your zone. A break below there, this top is complete, and you have to
Yep. I was
be
gonna say
prepared for
you
further
almost
downside.
want to see a breakdown, right?
Yeah, so here's the thing. If this top completes, right, and we take out these pivot lows here on the 550s, I'm looking here, right? Or even like here. 240 to 75-ish. So that sucks. That would be a huge drop. On the other hand, if I were a betting man, gun to my head, does this top complete? No. They've taken forever to complete. I think we talked about last week. I loved what Chris Verone said on our show. They can't kill energy. And that
Yeah,
really stands out, right? Like they keep
yeah,
hitting these lows, but not completing tops. So I think
yeah.
that's bullish longer term. However, for 2 years now, I've been here and there buying these support zones and energy, and I don't get stopped out, but I also don't hit any targets. So it's
All right.
literally been dead money, a lot of opportunity cost. When I say opportunity cost,
Like
I mean
Oxy.
that this is just opportunity cost defined. You go look at XLE, it's the same thing now for 2 years. Opportunity cost, you're just chopping. When you zoom out, the picture looks a lot better for energy. We're just talking about this as well on spaces. The
Oh
bottom
yeah.
is in here off the COVID lows, a huge rally higher, and now consolidation. I think, as I think with any consolidation, that it does eventually resolve in the direction of the underlying trend, right? The trend coming into the consolidation, which would be higher. I don't know that. I don't know how hardcore you want to be about buying these lows when other things are working so well. So with rig, it's really simple. I don't want anything to do with it below 550. My calls are basically flat right now that I got into here when we were here last early December. Probably should have sold them, right? But you don't know that. And that's it. Energy is a tough one right now. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it.
Yeah, energy is a tough one right now. I think, it's easy to forget how well it did in 2021 and 22. And this is kind of what happens after a really strong move is you get this digestion period.
It's easy. It's easy to forget how good energy was, but it's also important to remember, right? Because
Right,
that's
exactly,
structural.
exactly. Absolutely.
When I drop VWAPs from the prior range lows here, it's just reinforcing the importance of this zone right here.
Yeah.
So
What I,
below
what I meant
550, no
earlier
way.
with you're kind of hoping for a breakdown. I know you love those shakedowns, so and that totally is a potential scenario here, right? Where it does kind of pierce through those lows or undercuts them.
You're talking about a shake below 550 and go?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love a good shake.
Well, let's move on to Natty Gas real quick. The Widowmaker.
I mean, 10% today. Yeah, wow. This one's not for me.
10% today, huh?
I mean, am I wrong? Is TradingView wrong? 9.7%? Double check me.
Yeah, 9.5.
See, the thing about me, call me a skeptic. I don't trust anybody's data.
Good. I mean, it's
I've been
probably
doing this long enough. I've been doing this so long. I mean, it's tough depending on what vendor you have. That's why shout out Koifin. Rob does it unlike anybody else. They do have the best data. I don't double check Koifin. I double check everything else. So Nat Gas here. Just look at this. Wow. All right. This one makes me feel good about energy, right? It tends to do its own thing. This is like the China of energy. You don't you don't want to ever look at like new highs in Nat Gas and be like, oh, crude's next. Doesn't work.
That's an awesome analogy. Natty
It's
Gas is the China of energy.
it's its own thing. It's its own thing. Let it be its own thing. And if you want to trade it and you're an equity vehicles only person, which a lot of people are, and there's nothing wrong with, I actually kind of like that. Keep it simple. You do have vehicle, UNG, it's a short-term vehicle. Don't put this away and hold it forever. Why do I say that? Overlay. Let's do a little exercise here. I'm going to flip it. Give me a second here. It takes. Oh, look at that. New highs for pharma. Okay. I just want to do a little overlay exercise. Flip it back to the nat gas. This is natural gas futures. Oh, shit. You know what? I screwed it up, Pat. Forget about it. It takes too long.
All
I
good,
just
all
blanked
good.
out the indicator. So the point I was about to try to make was that UNG, the spot futures ETF vehicle, does not track nat gas futures very well over the long term. Over the short term, it does just fine. So if you're looking for a trading vehicle, I mean, wow, Pat, look at this.
So Steve, let me specify a
Oh,
little further. So he had said he jumped into some UNG calls
oh, good.
a couple days before Christmas, and he was just kind of wondering your thoughts on the trade here. So probably a little shorter term, I
I'll tell you,
imagine.
as an options trader, I don't know what duration those calls are. I don't know when they expire, but if they're short dated, I see this move. I look at the futures here. Wow.
You got to feed the ducks, huh?
Yeah, if you're in the money on that trade, which you are, and you probably are in a large way, there's nothing wrong with paying yourself right here. Right? You get what I'm saying? If you're in
Yeah,
short dated calls with this move, you're up
absolutely. Yeah,
5-10x from
yeah.
Christmas. So good job. Pat yourself on the back. Move on to the next one, because what just happened here is we're still back into a messy range. You see it on UNG, but more importantly, I wouldn't use UNG to analyze this. Nat gas, you could say, yeah, oh, the base is completing, but then you still got this. Like, I don't know. Maybe ultimate target here would be these pivot highs from November, but don't get greedy. It seems to
Yeah.
me like you've already done really well on that trade. Nothing wrong with taking it off, because energy is a range bound messy market.
Or at least sell something, right? You sell something into this move. That way, you're going to regret it either way. It goes up, you're going to regret selling it. If it goes down, you're going to regret not selling it.
Well,
So
and
in that
here's
scenario,
okay. Let me make just you're right. And in the event that like Patrick's saying, you sell some and it keeps going, this is what I do. So nat gas right now today, this is the 1 day rate of change up here. This is having its best day since Q1 of 2023, and really one of its best days just over the past several years. Sell into that. This
Yeah.
is unusual action, right?
Feed the ducks, as JC would say. Feed the
Yeah.
ducks.
Yeah, I would pay yourself on that one.
I like it. So let's move on to Ethereum real quick.
It's
And I
not
want
a
to get to
theory.
I want to get to some of the ones in the chat because we have a
It's the
ton in the chat.
grayscale. So it's the grayscale Ethereum, right? Hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
Check this out. And also, be prepared. If you're one of those people who is obsessed with this Bitcoin ETF narrative,
I think it's noise.
it's crazy. It's definitely noise. But if that appeals to you, if that's something you like following, get ready for Ethereum to be next. Think about it, Pat, right? They're going to approve
Makes
Bitcoin.
absolute sense. Yeah.
What's the next step? They're already ready. The applications are filled out.
Kind of
They're
sets
just
precedence and kind of opens the floodgates, right?
right. So if you're like, ooh, what's the catalyst going to be for Ethereum? When the Bitcoin spot ETFs, it's already a done deal. Once we finally get that news out of the way, everybody goes, yay, and they sell the news. Then they're going to start talking about the Ethereum spot ETFs and how that's a big tailwind for Ethereum. So if that's something that you care about, which, like Patrick said, we don't, go for it. There's your catalyst. Problem here is that ETHE, the Grayscale Ethereum ETF, doesn't do the best job of tracking Ethereum. So shown here in blue is actual Ethereum. Shown here in black is the Grayscale Ethereum ETF.
Oh, that's a good point you're making here.
One of them drew down 74%, the other one 90. It's supposed to be the same thing.
Yeah, right.
It's not, is my point. So there was a huge discount worked into these Grayscale funds. I don't know if you remember all the hoopla last year about where are they custodying their coins and this and that. It was all bullshit. Just like the MicroStrategy is going to default on their, margin loans. Just the nastiest headlines came out about Bitcoin and crypto in like the fall of 2022 into the first quarter of 2023 because it was really popular to hate crypto.
Right. It was down 75%. You had the SBF, FTX stuff going on. It was popular to hate Bitcoin at the time.
There was a massive discount built into the Grayscale ETFs because people on Reddit and elsewhere were building this narrative that the money wasn't safe there. They were totally wrong. Again, they narrowed that discount. I don't know what it is now, but there are very popular websites where you can go and track discount or the premium to NAV. That ARB is basically gone. So I like ETHE a lot less because of that. I would have liked it if the ARB was still there. I wish that I got into GBTC last year. That was a great ARB trade. There's nothing there for that now. I am a big proponent of actually owning the coins and not using these funky vehicles. So I don't like ETHE at all for that reason. If that's your only option, fine. I think we have to, like we always do, Patrick, go and look at the actual chart of Ethereum, right? To make that call. I'm not going to remark it up because this markup is perfect. And here we are, right? This massive base.
Would you call that a flag?
Let me get there, bro. Yeah, that's definitely a flag. Patrick's talking about this right here. And I love it when they flag like this, right? Because I just drew the base. Zoom out a little bit. Party mode off the 2020 lows, right?
Party mode.
Crypto winter mode off the 2021 highs. Sideways. Everybody throws it out. Nobody cares about it. Nobody talks about it. Crypto's dead. This is crypto's dead, right?
Yep.
Basing, textbook accumulation. Technicians saw this coming from a mile away. Got the base breakout. This is the anchored volume weighted average price from the old all-time highs. So this tells us buyers are back in control. Got the base breakout. And then Patrick's talking about this little flag, little coil, just north of the base breakout level. These are the best ones. The best ones. You will hear a
What
lot.
you like about it is the fact that it has like kind of higher lows there, like
What?
kind of a diagonal trend to it. What do
No,
you
I
like
mean,
about the flag?
I don't care if the flag looks like a wedge or a triangle or a pennant. I care that it's above the base breakout level
Okay, yeah.
because because this pattern here, the reversal pattern, is 10 times more important than the short-term continuation after it.
Right, absolutely, yeah. So you like when it's consolidating above the breakout level, like
This
it
is
is.
a, this is a structural pattern, the reversal. This tells us a new primary uptrend is underway. And then you have this short-term continuation just above it that never, you know, never pierced back into the base, right? So the
Right.
structural pattern's holding while now we have a more tactical pattern playing out. You'll hear so much about Ethereum underperformance, and it's not wrong. It's driving me crazy too. I own a lot of this. I wish it was performing more like Bitcoin or some of the stronger altcoins. The point remains is that if you look at it on an absolute basis, chart looks great, textbook. And then when you think from an intermarket perspective, this is the kind of pond we want to be fishing in. Crypto's in a new bull market. So while it's a laggard within its own space, the chart structure, both now, from a primary trend and a tactical trend perspective, are really good. So Ethereum all day above, call it 2150. You could buy the breakout of this little coil that happens at 2400. Next stop 3320, but I don't think you want to stop there. I think you at least want those old highs, 4850.
Yeah. I like that a lot. And I like that you brought the behavioral aspect of it too, very Wyckoff-like of you.
And
Kind of the evolution of the market cycle and the emotions that go with it.
And if we take that to ETHE, that means 47.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. It's probably the March highs, I'm guessing, but
No, 2021,
yeah, from 2022. Yeah.
prior cycle.
All right, let's move on to Wave's request, which is MPLX, and then I want to jump into the chat.
Listen,
Got a
Wavy
lot
likes
of mailbag
K1s.
today.
Listen, Wavy likes K1s. I like Wavy, but K1s are not for me. So
Explain what a K1 is in case people don't know.
K1 is a partnership taxation form where typically you own stocks, you get a 1099 from your broker. And if it's all common, it should all be on there. And it's pretty easy. You fill out your Schedule D, done. And it comes right after year end. If you are an investor in a partnership, if you've ever done any private equity deals or investments, it's a big mess. They don't have accounting departments. Like, they're doing their best. And that's what these stocks really are, right? These are LPs that K1 will get to you, and that's your tax form. It tells you the gain and loss, and there's a lot of weird stuff in these boxes that nobody seems to understand. It's always like a weird, an in-kind or like-kind exchange, funky accounting stuff. And you never really know what's going to show up on that K1. And it's probably going to get to you in October. So you're not going to file your taxes and get your refund on time like you're used to. And that drives a lot of people crazy. It drives me crazy as a stock market investor when everything else comes at the right time. And then I'm sitting around waiting for these things. And the other thing is, at least today, most of these tax reporting offenders are oil and gas midstream operators, which, I mean, I hate to say it, but here's the index, AMLP, relative to the S&P 500. And I know I'm not taking dividends into account. I should do this on a total return basis because the dividend's so big. They would still be underperformers. So why am I not bullish on this entire group of stocks? This is why. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, no, that's a great point you're making. Talk about opportunity costs. You were making that point earlier. A ratio chart is what you use basically to measure opportunity cost.
Yeah, that's right. It's a tough one to get behind. And that doesn't mean that these guys won't be massive outperformers in the future, just that they haven't been my whole career. And frankly, energy's been hot for a couple of years now, and they've still been underperformers within the energy space now, right? So I'm not saying that can't change. And I do like this setup, but at least for MPLX, 39. Breakout above 39, absolutely. We just talked about setups like this.
Clear line in the sand there.
Yeah, and it's also like a little memory gap here, right?
Yeah.
Energy went through something similar to financials in the financial crisis back in 2015, 2016. I remember it well because I owned way too much of them and I was on vacation and it ruined it. So, that big crash there, if it enters back into that zone at 39, I do like it because there's a memory gap.
I like it. So let's move on to some of the ones in the chat here, because if not, we're going to run out of time. But let's start with Mara. Mara, Mara, what do you call it?
Zoetis is a nice base. I mean, yeah, I like Zoetis. I had to do this one, Pat. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I love this trend. So this is pet health, pet medicine. At least where I come from in America, we have an obsession with pets. I am personally obsessed with pets, so I'm biased, but it's not just me. This is a secular trend. As the world gets more and more developed and advanced, go study history. As a society becomes more developed, more house pets, more pets. And they do agrarian things too, right? Where like you could buy drugs for your livestock here, but that's not the trend. The trend you really want to be into is the pet healthcare, house pet healthcare. And these guys absolutely dominate.
What, like flea and tick medicine or?
Yes, spot on. They make a lot of that stuff. And it's a mega trend. It's a trend that's going to persist for the rest of our lives and only get bigger. If you believe what I'm saying, about that mega trend, this might be the best vehicle. This is the industry leader in pet medicine. The reversals in above 194. You have a short-term coil here. If I flip it to a daily, you'll see it better. Yeah. So if this short-term coil breaks out, call it 200. Long all day back to those old highs, 250.
You know what? Let's just do one more from the mailbag because then we're done. Done with the mailbag. ESTC, and then I promise we will get to all the ones in the chat, or at least as many as we can.
Oh, wow. Look at this, Pat. Glad we did this one.
Did you call it a breakaway gap or just a big gap?
It's definitely a breakaway gap.
That's a breakaway gap, yeah.
100%. Look at this thing. I mean, this is great. Oh, look, I can extend this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a good setup. Okay, so this one, here's how I approach something like this. I zoom out and I see this level here that we gap through with, like Pat said, a breakaway gap is the biggest level for this asset.
Oh, yeah.
Since it started trading, okay? We got the monster gap. Now it's like, okay, where do you buy it? Because I know I know that the trend reversal is in. When I look at something like this, there's your base. It's beautiful. Okay, we're there. When do I buy it? How do I get in? I think it's as simple as this. What do? I anchored a VWAP from the gap high.
I like that.
The breakaway gap. So if you read Brian Shannon's books, which will tell you all about how to trade VWAP, he says anchor from cycle highs, anchor from cycle lows, anchor from January 1, because that's how fund managers
yeah.
Or anchor from a volume blowout, a big earnings report, right? Like NVIDIA's quarter 1 earnings. Anchor from big events, big dates. Do you see the volume on this breakaway gap?
Yeah.
Let's zoom out. Biggest
and
volume.
It was earnings too, so you have two things going for that candle there.
Biggest volume ever on the heels of earnings. Anchor right there, because what that's telling you, that volume, a ton of participants entered this vehicle, entered this trade on that day. How do I know? The biggest volume ever. And how much was it up? It was up 37%.
40 almost.
Those were people buying, not selling, right? Anchor from that earnings power gap move, and that's where you get long. So
and buy the breakout of the VWAP.
Buy that VWAP breakout. Yeah, that's it.
I like that. That's a good point.
Price target those old highs 188. I like this a lot.
Awesome.
This is tech too, so right pond. All right, let's hit the chat.
Yeah, let's hit the chat. All right, so let's hit Mara first. From Felly Fell.
Guys. So in the morning show, I told Spencer we're not talking about Mara today. At least like 25 people asked about Mara on the morning show today, and almost every day. And you know what, guys? That makes me not like it. I like it. We're long. It's going to keep going higher, but so many people are just watching this one.
Too many eyeballs?
Yeah, a lot of eyeballs, never a good thing. So this is it. You got the bottom here. You got the top here. Uptrend, top, sideways trend, distribution, downtrend, bear market, sideways trend, accumulation, breakout. This one for me, I'm taking profits, and this is on the blog. We wrote about it a few weeks ago. 80. We want 4x in this. We got in at 20, we want 80. But you have to be patient along the way and understand you're going to draw down 50% at any given time on your way to 80. If you can handle that, I really think that's a great trade. You get 80. So the lower
80 this year?
Yeah. Dude, this is Mara. I mean, this stock's crazy. It trades like an altcoin.
Yeah.
The top 5 performers in the Russell 3000 last year.
And you have been all over these crypto miners.
Go look at the top performers in the Russell 3000. That basically means the entire stock market last year. Coinbase, Mara, Riot, it's all crypto stocks.
Yeah, and I think these crypto stocks too right now with all the Bitcoin news, I think it's similar to what you're seeing with what we talked about with MicroStrategy, where these equities were being used as almost a Bitcoin proxy. And now that there's a better alternative for fund managers, you're seeing a little bit of an exit from these.
So Pat's talking about a mechanical premium that was built into these stocks because they were preferred vehicles because regulators aren't good at doing their jobs. What do I mean by that? If you wanted to bet on Bitcoin in the stock market, you either had Grayscale, which people were scaring people about last year. We already talked about that. Or Mara, Coinbase, Riot, right? These were also MicroStrategy, equity market vehicles to bet on crypto. Now that we have the right vehicles, actual spot Bitcoin, and like I said, probably other spot crypto ETFs like Ethereum popping up, does some sort of premium come out of these? I think that's a great thought experiment. I don't know.
And it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It doesn't have to be the end of marathon, you know?
It's not.
Right.
Bottom line is this. If you're looking to enter tactically, you do have some sort of shelf here. I don't love it, 32 and a quarter. And that also lines up with these pivot highs here. So you could use 31 and a quarter also. For me and my time frame for this trade, I'm long above 20 and I'm selling at 80. So my time frame is longer, my target is higher. I'm not trading this. Okay. Yeah. This is not very optionable because the premiums are crazy, right? So it's not something I want to pay for. This is super volatile. I believe in a new crypto bull market. I think this is an excellent vehicle. I think in terms of the Bitcoin miners, this is top of class, industry leader. This is the one you want to buy, but I don't want to talk about it every day, frankly.
Right. Well, so let's move on. Let's move on because I think your point is really good. You know, if it's a new bull market, you should see this one return to all-time highs. It's that simple.
Be patient. Be patient, zoom out, extend your time frame. I wouldn't try to trade it because this one will kill you. It's going to be down 15% one day. You're going to get scared and sell it. Most people.
This is maybe the real Widowmaker. Forgetting Natty, yes. But let's move on to STNE.
I love Stone. Yeah, so good. It's Brazil, right? This is it. Yeah, we're long this one. We've been all over this one. Howard loves this. I love things that Howard loves.
Package software.
Yeah, he talks to a lot of smart people for us. So look, I mean, this is just, wow. These are the charts that we've been buying since really 2022 now. I'm not bragging. It's just the facts. These are the setups we've been buying. They have been rewarding us so much. This one just went. You got to get them while they're hot. This one's hot at 15. We're at 16 and change today. Where do we get in? Oh, I don't know. This is the exercise, guys.
I like this.
So this is, again, to zoom out.
That is an issue, right? When that is the issue you have with a lot of these stocks right now is where do you get in? You know, the breakout's kind of already underway. Yep. You just wait for a pullback. So, you know, that might never happen.
Here's what's here's what Pat is saying, right? I'm talking about these structural patterns. The reversal, the primary trend reversal is a structural pattern. Then I look up here, I say, I want those old highs. If the primary trend is reversing, I want those old highs, 94. We're at 16 today. That's a long way. If you miss the base breakout, it would be foolish thinking it's going back to 96, those old highs. Oh, I missed the base breakout. I can't participate. No, then you just change your strategy. Look at the tactical patterns. In this case, there's not much on a tactical basis. Anchor the VWAP, right? Because you know buyers are in control over longer time frames because the reversal is in. So then over shorter time frames, anchor a VWAP from the pivot highs. We're right at it now. We got rejected there. What, Friday, Monday?
Yeah, and I think entering on strength like that too, there's a lot to say about psychologically how that's going to affect your trade. You know, if you start off with some good momentum as opposed to just buying it here because you're bullish, you think it'll go back to all-time highs, but it might need to correct a little in the meantime. You know, you might be buying into a pullback where you're gonna start off your trade with a 5% loss or something. It's gonna be harder to hold on to that. Than if you're entering on strength and you kind of start off with the wind behind your back. You know what I mean?
Yes, totally agree. So for this one, drop the WAP, pivot highs.
There's your t-shirt idea. Drop the WAP. I like that.
Drop it. If you don't want to hang out forever for the whole cycle, 30 is a really nice level here, right? We got some plunge here, some breakdown gap, breakaway, bearish breakaway gap, 29.30. Yeah, that's a double. Love it. I like this stock a lot. It's also giving you, I believe, I don't want to speak out. Yeah, it's giving you Latin American exposure. I believe. I really hope so. If I'm right about this one's Brazilian, STNE. And we just love that region right now. 5 billion. Yeah, everything's good. Double check me on that.
So let's move on to Raul's request. And Raul himself, if it's the same person I'm thinking of, he himself is a pretty good technician. But let's do APO.
I love Apollo. A good friend, coworker, boss of mine early in my career. He left the Big Four, and he's currently their CFO.
Really?
Yeah, very proud of him. He's awesome. And I mean, they've been maybe the best in their group.
They're private equity, right?
Yeah, private equity, asset managers. We've been pounding the table about these stocks. And I probably bought the wrong one like I usually do in Carlisle Group last week. This is the industry leader. You know, I mentioned KKR a lot. Apollo, I think, looks even better. Let's check it out. Apollo versus KKR. Okay, it's close. Sideways.
Yeah, it's kind of
sideways forever.
War. Yeah.
These are the two best. So let's do Apollo versus its peer group. This is Apollo versus globally listed private equity companies. There you go. Right. I don't like to look at ratio charts with bars or candles. So here's the line straight up. Look at KKR relative to its peer group.
Well, PSP was what? The
private equity,
private equity ETF.
And here's the one I bought because I like to be cute. And I'm like, oh, look, it's just now breaking out versus peer group. Maybe there's more to go. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong.
But so how do you trade it? How do you trade Apollo here?
If you buy KKR or Apollo, you're not doing anything wrong. In fact, you're right on buying one of the best ones. I would do a fib from here.
Look at that. You already got the successful retest too of those former highs.
Fib's not going to work. So let's just zoom in a little bit.
You got a successful retest there too.
Yeah, I would do this, Pat. It's tough to find the level. So for a tactical trade, 92, I would buy these pivot highs. 96 brings you to 102. But I think whoever's asking about this is probably looking for some longer term setup. So just measure the base out, right? So here's the base. This was a really strong one during the 2022 correction. Got the breakout. If we measure out this base, and Pat, you're right. Look at this little shake right here. Shake and go.
Yeah.
So if you measure this base, call it 45 to 81.
On a chart that just looks like a mistake almost, right? But what the crowd was thinking on that day, or the pool of people who own it, um, it's a tough spot to hold on to. You're seeing new lows, and sure enough, it turns around, reclaims that level. That causes that kind of chase and an uptrend, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You love the shake and go. JC was
It
laughing
can
at me
be.
today. I was giving all these different names of what you could call that because we do like naming our patterns as technicians. But listen, if we do the measured move here of this base, 80 gets you to 117-ish. And I think your new risk level now is these summer highs from last year, or September highs in this case, 93. 93 to 117, not bad, particularly when you're also getting paid 1.8%. Not bad. I like that dividend yield too.
Oh man, Steve, the we're cooking over here in the chat. We
Oh,
got tons to get to. So you ready to move on? Let's move on to uh, Nick wants to see LBRT.
yeah, Liberty.
Yeah. And then GLD if you want to take a look at gold.
Sure looks like an LP. Oilfield services and equipment, 1.5% yield. Look, you're getting a nice little throwback here. Yeah, I like this. So you got this pivot low from December right here, 1750. If that goes, you want to be careful. We're probably trading back into this range. Who knows where it goes, but lower bounds coming around 10, even lower, 8. You don't want to hold it below these pivot lows. This is really your level. 17, 3/4. We look to be breaking that today. I would want to keep this one really tight. But if, God forbid, it digs in here, this candle maybe looks differently come this afternoon against this 17 and change level, easy trade back up to these October pivot highs, 21. And then from there, you have this shelf of highs after the IPO in 2018. They don't come in until about 24.
And
So
and
again,
his time frame 6 to 12 months, by the way.
it does what?
Time frame 6 to 12 months.
Okay. Yeah, 6 to 12 months. If it breaks or closes here or lower today, all bets are off. You don't want it. If it holds or maybe breaks down, does a little dance, and then scoops higher, long towards 24. And then 6 to 12 months, that's a while. It could get to 24 pretty quickly. From there, 37 is your next stop. Because if it does, this starts to look really good, right? If this holds here, right, Pat, and moves back above these all-time highs.
And that's probably an environment where a lot of energy stocks are working, right?
Yeah, probably. But also, I could tell by looking at this chart that this one's a leader, right? So LBRT relative to energy, this one's been leading,
They've been leading recently, yeah.
yeah, since May of last year. Good leadership there. So yeah, we'll see.
All right, let's move on to gold if you want to do that one real quick.
Gold?
GLD, yeah.
Nah,
But you can take a look at the futures if you want, or
no. I mean, we talk all about gold. Just go to the next one.
okay. Let's go to TFC.
Truest.
That's
Yeah, it looked as good
28.
as any. Listen, go read what we've written about KeyCorp. Go back to my Twitter. Look at the charts that I've shown about KeyCorp. It's the same exact thing. Like this is KeyCorp. I own a little bit of this one, mostly KeyCorp. The options are priced better in Key.
Yeah.
So it's the same exact trade. I love it.
It's like that KRE chart we looked at, which makes sense because it's in that pond.
I love it. It's hanging out in this memory gap zone. For me, I'm definitely erring on the side of an upside resolution for these in this gap zone. Just completed a reversal. I love this. Right. I've been adding to these setups for the past few weeks now. I think earnings season starting on Friday is our catalyst.
So let's move on to MRVL.
Marvel. What a move yesterday. It's been a dog in its space, right? Like this is semiconductor stock.
Yeah.
There's a lot of better looking semiconductors.
But you know what's funny is like some of the lagging semiconductors, they still look good, a lot of
They all
them.
look good.
Yeah, but it makes it important to check them out on a relative basis, relative to the semis or maybe even to the Nasdaq or
I mean, that's a great point because the best looking groups, like the best industry groups, even their worst stocks look better than most stocks, right?
right.
That's index or subgroup leadership. So here, the base is in.
Look how it just filled that gap on that
Love it.
correction that you had.
Love it.
And
Boom.
that was when the whole market was correcting too.
So here's what Pat's saying. We got this sweet breakaway gap right here, completing this base, and then right back into the gap zone and filling it here on the correction lows in October. Now we're getting going again. This reminds me of AMD. What do? Boom.
Which,
From
by
the
the way,
breakaway gap,
I like
right?
AMD too. Looks great right now.
It's the same thing as that chart that we just marked up.
Yeah.
Anchor it from the breakaway gap. Why? Go read Brian Shannon's book. Look at the volume that day. I didn't see the volume. I just put it up. I knew it would be that big.
You've done this trick like 3 times on this episode already, and I really like this. Basically anchoring from a breakaway gap, and then buying on strength for the breakout in there. Because it is an issue when you have that breakout. Feels like the train's already left the station, but that's a really good way to play those.
And if you miss that because it's already above it, do that. Like for these structural trend reversals, just find a logical level where you can manage your risk. It's about getting in and getting in as quickly as you can, really, in a market like this. This is a fast market. So if you miss the VWAP breakout, go ahead, use the trend line, define it right there. The point is, buyers are in control. The reversal is in, and I want these old all-time highs around 93. I think they're all-time highs.
So Doug's talking about GLD leaps.
No.
Oh,
You got to wait
man.
for the range to resolve. And listen,
Are you talking about with gold?
yeah, the goal. Isn't that what he said? GLD leaps?
Yeah, yeah.
One of my New Year's
So,
resolutions is to not pay attention to precious metals. So
really?
listen, these in a market like this where so many things are working, that's just wasted brain energy. Precious metals are such a mess. Also, I'm not like a sad and miserable person who like bets on the end of the world and wants to keep like gold bars under my mattress. Like it's just not for me. It doesn't appeal to me.
There's that saying, if you bet on the end of the world, who's going to be there to settle the trade with you, right? But let's hit on Snap real quick because I know you
Oh,
like
thank
that
God.
one. Um,
God. Yeah. The best snap charts are not on TradingView. You would have to go watch the morning show today. We did a whole spotlight segment on Snapchat. I'm going to mark this one up real quick. Volume pocket. Memory gap. Strongest, best looking stock in the market from October to the end of the year. Snapchat.
I like it.
38 straight days in
Yeah,
overbought
are you
territory.
noticing that so many of these are kind of a similar pattern? You have these flags,
Yes.
you have a fresh breakout, and then kind of a flag over the last month or two.
Oh, yeah.
But it's information that they're all kind of looking similar.
So keep buying the ones that keep looking that way because they keep paying us. Buy them aggressively. I'm very long Snap. Got long last week. Might get longer this week. I don't know if there's a stronger name from a short-term momentum standpoint in the entire market.
This is a great idea.
We've been running scans internally since November now of who has the longest overbought streaks. What that tells you is about the aggressiveness of buyers. If there's a relentless bid for an asset, it can only be a good thing. Of course, it's going to cool off, and we saw Snapchat cool off. Oops, sorry. We saw Snapchat cool off just for I don't know, couple trading days into the new year. Peaked on December 29th, gave back a little. Look at that shake and go, Pat. Look at this shake. Look where
The
it's
shake and
shaking.
bake. But that's
Look
what
where
I'm
it's
talking
shaking
about.
to.
That day, it looks like just kind of a chart error almost, right? Like just a mistake on the chart. But
Yeah.
what the crowd's thinking that day is just absolute
Oh,
dismay
they're
and
like,
feeling like idiots. And then all of a sudden, the market gods give them a gift, and the next day they're positive again, and then the chase is on. Or God forbid they got short there.
and thank
Then
God for them. No, they did. A lot of people did. Rookie traders are looking at this red circle, and smashing the sell button. And thank God for them. Because
or getting stopped out. Yeah.
that's what creates bear traps. And this is a major bear trap right now. And literally, this was the best performer, the best stock, the strongest, most consistent performer during the October to year end rally. It cooled off for a couple days, and now it's going again. We are so long. I think this gap fills. I think it fills very quickly. 2150. Another thing I'll say about Snapchat is it's probably starting to crank right now. Do you know why? No,
Because
really.
Steve Spraz is talking about it.
Do you know why?
Why? Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
let's get a little funky. Let's talk about it. Let's pretend like we're day
Wait,
traders.
is it it's at the trend line there too?
Well, it's also Evan whatever at the CES conference. Is he still the
Uh,
CEO? Their
okay.
CEO is giving a
Either way,
presentation.
he's a voice on the stock, right?
The CEO, I think it's Evan whatever, is giving a presentation at CES, which I would really like to go to. I think we'll go next year, Pat, you and I.
Oh, let's go.
It's the biggest tech conference in the world in Vegas. It's
Oh my gosh, I'll meet you there. It's a
a lot of
4 hour.
people like have like the Berkshire annual shareholders meeting on their bucket list. I think you and I are more like CS
Well,
people.
because some big like technology history has happened at CES, with Steve Jobs
Epic.
and things like that. Yeah.
100%. It's an epic conference. All of the, you know, biggest innovations in technology tend to be released or introduced there. So it's totally on my bucket list. I really think we should go next year. But yeah, he is talking in a few minutes. So they tend to front run these things like, oh, Snapchat CEO is going on with Kramer this afternoon. So that's what this is. Maybe it sells off, maybe not. But look at that ramp up into it. You see it every time. I like Snap.
Nicholas wants to see Celsius, CELH.
So this is poison water.
But that snap chart, that's definitely I'm gonna go check that out after this. I mean, I don't have to, right?
So
Poison water.
if you
Steve's poking fun at me because I occasionally drink Celsius. You know what? I kind of haven't in a while though. Kind of just lost my taste for them.
Pat works at our studio in San Diego, and I just like to give you guys a hard time about everything. So look,
I don't buy them. I don't buy them. They're just in the fridge. They're there.
oh god. So let's just draw it out real quick. Nice base, boom, boom. This is a secular leader. I think it's a staple stock. Staple stocks bore me.
Well, it ran with the rest of growth stocks in 2020, 2021, and then it fell really hard. But the fact that it kind of the fact that it recovered from that massive drawdown, I think is a real testament to the stock and the strength of the trend too.
Listen, it's a leader, and here's what I'll tell you about this. Monster Energy,
Oh my gosh,
MST. It's been one of the
what a
best
sleeper.
stocks my entire career. I'm
And
lucky enough.
dominoes, like some of these companies you don't expect. It's not like they're Google or they're Apple or Amazon, that are making world-changing products. They're making like really mediocre pizza and you know uh energy drinks like poison water, right?
Let me tell you something. I never understood it, and I never will. But I was lucky enough to ultimately act as the interim controller because I was just their tax preparer. I was working. The family is in tax prep.
I
Right?
love these stories. Steve has some awesome war stories from when he was an accountant and doing other things in finance before this?
I've done both sides, right? I got to see audit and financial statement accounting, but then also tax. Like my dad has been a tax accountant for 40 years now with his own shop. So like that's how I grew up. I was working at another place in Rye, and one of their biggest clients was a distributor of chemicals to Monster. And they owned like a very material amount of Monster stock because Monster had paid them over the years in not just cash, but stock. So, I mean,
This is probably 10 years ago, right?
this was 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
5 years ago now. Yeah, yeah. And I was mind blown. I couldn't pronounce the stuff that they had in their inventory. It was just all chemicals. And they're one of Monster's biggest suppliers. That's all they did. They bought the chemicals and they sold the chemicals to Monster. And the business was like immaculate. I used to look through their books and be like, oh my, like these guys are printing money. There is a big business in these energy drinks. I don't really understand it. I can't get behind it. I don't like to drink them, but I've seen it.
But there's something there. Yeah.
Monster's one of the best stocks ever. It seems like Celsius is following that path. You can buy, jump this breakout here. Don't wait for those old highs. Jump it right here. It's actionable right here. It's above the VWAP. It's above the trend line break. Next stop 74. It's a good stock.
I like it. I like it.
We're done, Pat.
We're done. We're cutting it there. Oh man, there's so many we didn't get to. And thank you guys for the chat. They're saying some really nice things about us, Steve. Shout out to Doug and Rachel if you're there, and all the other awesome people. Nicholas, you guys are the best. Steve, you wanna close this out?
Yeah, and I'll just, I'll speak to that for both of us. Like that means a lot to Patrick and I because this is our favorite show to do. So the fact that you guys like it too just makes our day. And I'm sorry, there's always going to be requests that we don't get to, but we got to leave more.
Yeah,
we want people to join us on Tuesday, so hopefully we'll get to them then.
Thursday.
You guys, thanks for participating. As always, this is Patrick. I'm Steve. This has been Chart Request Live. We will be back on Thursday at 1:00 Eastern time for more chart requests. See you then. Signing off.
Awesome.